The world didn't expect what was about to happen that morning. From the high plains of Windhoek to the crowded streets of Ouagadougou, a quiet anticipation filled the air. Something monumental was brewing between two nations that had always shared a bond of respect. But never before a moment like this. The cameras were already rolling before sunrise. The Namibian flag shimmered in the early light, fluttering side by side with the Burkina Faso colors, gold, red, and green. Crowds gathered in silence, holding banners that read, "Africa stands together and one voice, one continent." For days, rumors had spread across social media. President Ibrahim Traoré had accepted an invitation from Namibia's president to attend a ceremony that, according to insiders, would mark a new era for African unity. No one knew exactly what that meant. But every journalist, every citizen, every young person scrolling their phone could feel it. Something was about to change. Then came the image that set the tone for the day. Two black cars, pulling up side by side at the Namibian State House. The doors opened in perfect sync. From one, Ibrahim Traoré stepped out, his military uniform catching the morning light, his posture calm, his eyes steady. From the other, the Namibian president, dressed in a deep blue ceremonial suit, greeted him with an embrace that lasted longer than any diplomatic protocol demanded. Cameras clicked, but for once it wasn't about politics. It was about something deeper. Recognition. As they entered the hall, the world watched through live streams and news broadcasts. African students in London huddled around phones. Taxi drivers in Lagos turned up the volume. Farmers in northern Namibia paused their work to watch from small televisions under the shade. Inside, the hall was silent. A massive backdrop displayed the words "honoring courage, embracing unity." The Namibian president took the stage first. His voice trembled slightly as he began. "Today we do not welcome a visitor. We welcome a brother, a leader whose courage has reignited pride across our continent. President Ibrahim Traoré, you have reminded us that leadership is not about fear. It is about love. Love for people, for sovereignty, for truth." The crowd erupted. A standing ovation. Cameras flashed. But Ibrahim remained still, respectful, grounded. His expression soft yet determined. The Namibian president continued, his words building with emotion. "For too long, Africa has waited for permission to rise. You showed us that we do not need permission. We only need purpose. And that is why, on behalf of the people of Namibia, we honor you today, not as a guest but as family." He raised a small carved wooden emblem, the national crest of Namibia, encased in gold. Then, in a gesture that stunned even the international press, he placed it gently around Ibrahim Traoré's neck. It wasn't just a medal. It was a message. The hall went silent again. Cameras zoomed in on Ibrahim's face. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes for a brief moment, and when he opened them, he began to speak. His tone was steady, almost whisper-like at first. "My brother, my friend, I receive this not for myself, but for every young African who still believes they are invisible, for every mother who still dreams that her child will grow up free of fear, for every father who wakes before dawn, not for war but for work. This honor belongs to them." The applause was thunderous. He paused, allowing the noise to fade before continuing. "Namibia and Burkina Faso share no borders. But our hearts have always known each other. We both carry the weight of those who came before us. Those who stood when standing meant sacrifice. Today we show the world that Africa is not divided by language or by line or by legacy. We are one." For a moment, even the cameras lowered. It didn't feel like a speech. It felt like a promise. Then something extraordinary happened. The Namibian president rose again, this time holding a sealed letter. He turned toward Ibrahim and said, "This is a resolution signed by my cabinet and the Parliament of Namibia. It declares that Namibia will officially join Burkina Faso in launching a joint initiative for continental unity. To strengthen trade, education, defense, and the cultural bond between our nations." Gasps filled the hall. Even Traoré looked momentarily stunned. The audience rose in waves of applause, cheering in unison. Africa! 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 The speech was broadcast live across 42 countries. On social media, clips of the two leaders standing side by side flooded timelines. Their embrace, their smiles, the moment the letter was handed over. Within hours, hashtags began trending globally. Traoré in Namibia. One Africa. Courage and Unity. CNN called it the most symbolic diplomatic moment of the decade. BBC described it as an unexpected show of continental solidarity. But on TikTok, young Africans called it something else. The day pride returned. That afternoon, both presidents visited the Heroes Acre Memorial outside Windhoek. They walked slowly side by side in silence. When they reached the eternal flame, Ibrahim placed a single white flower. He whispered something quietly, but the microphones couldn't catch it. The Namibian president placed his hand on his shoulder, and for a long moment neither spoke. It wasn't politics anymore. It was personal. By evening, as the sun dipped below the desert horizon, the two leaders addressed the continent one final time from the balcony of the State House. The golden light painted their faces as they looked out at the thousands gathered below. Ibrahim spoke first. When history looks back on this day, I do not want them to say two men stood here. I want them to say a generation stood up, that Africa remembered its worth, that we chose unity over division, respect over rivalry. The crowd roared. The Namibian president raised his hand beside him and said, "And that we did it together." Cameras zoomed out. Drones captured the sea of waving flags below. It was breathtaking. Overnight, murals appeared in several African cities, paintings of Ibrahim and the Namibian president standing together with the words, "Unity is our inheritance." Even global outlets couldn't ignore it. A French newspaper headline read, "From silence to strength, Africa's new chapter begins in Windhoek." In the following days, the alliance became more than symbolism. Student exchanges, agricultural partnerships, and youth leadership programs were signed into action. But for Ibrahim, the greatest moment wasn't in front of cameras. It came 2 days later when he visited a local Namibian school. The children ran toward him, shouting his name, waving little paper flags. A young girl, no older than 10, handed him a drawing of two hands clasped together. With the words Burkina plus Namibia, young forever, Ibrahim knelt, smiled and said softly, "That is the future. My child and hands that hold not harm." The image went viral. It wasn't just a story of two leaders anymore. It was a movement of hope, of unity, of what Africa could be when its heart beats as one. And as the video of that moment spread across the world, of Ibrahim Traoré and the Namibian president standing under the African sun, holding hands, smiling through tears, a new chapter had already begun, not in politics, but in people. Because sometimes the greatest revolutions don't begin with battles or borders. They begin with brotherhood.